Well, I remember seeing Die Hard 1, falling asleep in it, going back to see it with a bunch of my friends for my birthday, and I fell asleep in it again.
What, did you not? Were you bored? Is that why?
Well,
or just
nothing. It's very slow for the first 25 minutes of the film.
Oh yeah,
not a single bullet is fired for I don't even know how long. It is, and so I was a kid. I fell asleep. I remember the first time I saw it. I fell asleep, and my parents remember me waking up, and I woke up during the credits, and I was like, I looked at my mom, and I was like, that was a really short movie. And my parents just cracked up, right?
And your dad looks at his wallet. Yeah, my money's short, you little asshole. I just paid like $20 for a nap for you.
In a world of bad movies, two follically challenged men will stop at nothing to share their opinions of them. Their wives are tired of listening. But are you? This isn't the podcast you deserve, but it's the one you need. Prepare yourself for Bald Guys and Bad Movies.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 6 of Bald Guys, Bad Movies. Bald Guys and Bad Movies. I keep forgetting the fucking and. That drives me crazy. Hey, Mike, I was thinking, should we come up with a cute name for an audience? Endearing name, like the bald bastards,
like the believers,
or bald
or
bitches.
The bald
bitches. Well, that's a bit more aspirational than what I just said. But I know the dudes wouldn't mind bald bastards, but bald bitches. I
don't think the dudes would mind bald bitches either. But I don't think the ladies would appreciate it.
But would bastards encompass the ladies?
Well, I mean,
I don't think that would be as offensive.
How about the follicle front? How about that, or the something to that effect?
I like it, follicle front.
Yeah, the follicle front.
But we have no follicles. Well, we have follicles, but not on the head.
Well,
the follicle front.
I don't know the science on the matter, but
we're workshopping.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is a nice one. You want to rattle off some of the countries that have...
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the one person in Singapore who downloaded one of our episodes. Thank you. You are amazing.
We got some UK listeners. I think we have someone in Russia, the Russian Federation.
The Russian Federation, we do. We have one person in Russia. Probably someone at a troll farm, downloaded it, listened to it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't need to do anything with these guys. No one listens to them."
Right. We can't leverage this into misinformation.
Exactly.
People actually need to fucking listen.
Yeah, exactly. It's pointless. Move on. Someone in India is listening to us. I don't know who you are, but to the 3 people in India, Singapore, and Russia, thank you. And please tune in to our next episode.
I think we got some UK peeps, or a UK peep.
Yeah, we got one UK peep. I have no idea who that is, to tell you the truth. But whoever you are also an utter legend, and I appreciate.
Yes, you're not related to us. And therefore feel compelled to listen because we asked you to. Here in the States, we have quite a sizable...
Yeah, we got a lot of people in Maryland, and I know who you guys are. Thank you. And we got 2 people in Henderson, Nevada, and I think they might be related to my wife. I thank you as well. And if not, I thank you even more. We got North Carolina. That's...
There might be some of my peeps.
Longview, Washington. Probably. I know that's I don't know who that is exactly, but I know the group that comes from. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got Philadelphia. Do you know anyone from Philadelphia? I don't know anyone from Philadelphia. Not that I know.
I have family in Philadelphia.
Well, that's probably,
probably my family.
That's probably
a friend or a relative. The point is what'd you call them? The follicle army?
The follicle front.
The follicle front is growing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And Mike.
Yeah.
A shout out to Enrico.
A listener.
Enrico,
an avid listener.
who requested today's review.
Yeah,
and The Fifth Element.
And this is dedicated to you, Mr. Enrico.
Now, I'm not just saying this to kiss his ass because he's like, I like your show. But Rico's dripping with swagger, dude. That dude is...
Yeah, not like he is...
You know me, I'm
what's funny?
man.
You know what's so... Yeah.
So I
yes,
guess
you
it's a
are.
low bar,
yes.
Right?
He showed up to a movie. I'm calling you out,
Here we
Troy.
go.
Yeah.
I was wondering how long it would take for this fucking anecdote.
I invited Troy to come to a film premiere of a short film that I edited, and his wife comes in dressed to the T's looking great. And he walks up in sweatpants. And I was like, are you kidding me, bro?
They were black, fashionable, brand new.
No, they were not.
Sweatpants.
They were not.
Okay, they weren't brand new, but they were fashionable.
That shit was not fashionable.
They weren't like
like
baggy Walmart shits. They were like, they had some zippers. They had the zippers.
The
leg zippers. That's a sign of
quality. Definitely not movie premiere quality pants. I'm just saying.
As I told you that
and
night,
a t-shirt.
It's out of love.
And a t-shirt.
I'm treating your short film like I would treat any source of entertainment that I go to see. I want to be as comfortable as possible so I can soak in the majesty of what's on the screen.
At my 40th birthday, me and Dan, who we've talked about before, are sitting there, and we're like, Troy's not here yet. Oh, he's gonna be here soon though. And Dan looks over to me. He's like, what's the over-under on whether or not Troy wears sweatpants to the party? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't take that bet. And literally not 30 seconds later, Troy goes walking in, and we were all craning our necks trying to see him sweatpants on. And he did not. He had shorts. I
had a shirt with buttons.
Buttons, absolutely. And all the buttons were still there. I was very impressed.
Well, look, I'm ahead of the curve, man. I was rocking the soft pants before COVID.
You were.
Yes.
And I will say, I did kind of start rocking the soft pants, but I will say my soft pants are not nearly as soft as yours, I don't think. You got the solid blue, like off the rack Costco Kirkland signature brand soft pants.
So you look, look, we're here for The Fifth Element, but I will leave it at this. For what we do, sitting on our asses editing and we do get up and run film productions. You don't want to be restricted. I want to be able to get on my knee and lay on the floor with the camera if I need to.
Sure.
And if I'm sitting in the chair all day long, I don't want to the restrictiveness of jeans.
Sure.
I want freedom.
Yeah.
So the boys can air out down there every now and then.
Okay.
That door is closed a lot
how
in my
long,
bay.
For someone who condemned the fart jokes in Jack and Jill, you sure do talk about your balls a lot, buddy. I'm just saying.
If I don't talk about them, who will? Honestly.
Yeah,
the wife stopped talking about it a long time ago. So, and if anyone listening out there, our many listeners all across the world, if you have a suggestion for a movie you want us to review, please let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
We got Twitter, we got Facebook.
Comments in the podcast, whatever podcast app you like to use.
Or drop us a Twitter comment.
Yeah, comment, direct
Facebook.
message. Yeah, throw it anywhere.
Let us know.
We're everywhere. Oh, and if you could drop us, maybe a review on one of those podcast apps, that would be awesome too. Maybe drop a little 5-star love on that sucker too.
And it matters. It does matter.
It truly does.
Because it bumps us up in the algorithm.
Yep.
And hopefully more people can find us and listen to it, and we'll be able to continue to do this. So on with the show. Curtain rise. The Fifth Element.
I think I did last week, so why don't you take the honors to start this one off?
I will gladly do the fifth. I'll start the honors. Let me get my window.
Why don't you take the fifth?
Okay. Oh wait, that deserves a trombone. That was kind of lame, Mike. Take the fifth.
Yeah. Well, it took you a second to even register it, so I mean, it wasn't that bad.
So okay, let's get to the beginning. The Fifth Element. Back in the day, before this movie came out, I was aware of Luc Besson. I hipped the people around me in college to the professional because but this is before the internet was hot and heavy and you could find anything you wanted. I was reading Starlog magazines, and I wanted to know what this guy was going to do next. And The Fifth Element, back then, what I understood, it was going to be his Star Wars. This story began when he was 16. This is like one of the first things he started to write. I think in the end, it had a $90 million budget, but originally it was way bigger. And it was like a 400-page script, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah. And
how the fuck you get something greenlit with a 400-page script?
You don't. No, you don't.
Okay.
I said originally it was 400
yeah.
pages. It took the success of The Professional for Columbia to say, okay, we'll do this one. But I think he had to make a lot of cuts. Well, I know he did, obviously, and a lot of sacrifices. And I think it hurt the film. There's this big evil ball of pure evil that like every 5,000 years it wants to consume like universe or whatever. And the way to fight it is having these 5 elements come together. So 4 of them form around a 5th. And the 5th shoots a beam and stops the evil.
The ultimate weapon against
the
evil,
ultimate weapon,
basically.
Right. So it's time again for this to occur, and it starts off in ancient Egypt just to kind of set it up. This is an ongoing thing
with Luke Perry in it.
Luke Perry,
quick little cameo. Like I always thought that was funny when I first saw it.
I forgot, and maybe it didn't really make an impression on me then, how diverse this cast was. Because typically in the future, there's a bunch of white people and maybe a black dude in the corner saying, "Hey."
In most movies,
we're
saying.
Still here.
Yeah.
This cast was super diverse to the point where Tiny Lister is the president.
Yeah.
Debo from fucking Friday, dude.
Fucking Zeus.
Zeus. Oh, man. And I appreciate it so much. She's not the greatest actor, but...
Yeah,
but I didn't mind, right?
No,
because
it was
where
actually,
else?
I mean,
will
it
Zeus
was
play the president?
Yeah, it was like it was like a nice little oddity that just kind of gave it a little bit of like personality. It was really weird because he's not a good actor, but him in that role was, I don't know, he was pretty damn good.
He played it straight.
Yeah. 100%. I think that was the first time I'd ever seen him play anything straight.
You could have easily made that goofy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, see, wink, wink. Here's a big bald black dude that usually plays a thug. He's president. No, it was treated with respect.
Yeah, and I appreciated that.
Oh, man. And Brian James is amazing in this movie. He usually plays a bad guy or a disgusting a-hole, but this is one of the rare roles he was able to play light and likable and funny. So that sets the present day, which is,
it's like 300 years, it's like 2250 or something like that.
Incredible production design.
Oh, dude,
tons of practical effects.
Yep.
Like the actual elements in their alien form, they look like fucking Jim Henson puppets, right? But in a good way.
Those aren't the elements. Like those are the protectors of the elements. The elements are the stones. Okay, so the 5th element is the supreme being, the ultimate weapon against evil. She is the 5th element. The other 4 elements are earth, wind, water, fire, right? The normal elements you have from
right, but she
mythology.
Formed from Mila Jovovich. It's the physical embodiment of the 5th element, and they got her because one of these protectors was on its way to deliver.
Well, actually, I realized something in this watching that I actually always thought that. I always thought that she was in one of those suits.
It was the DNA. It wasn't her, but the DNA strand is so complex that they were able to form from a piece of that creature.
Well, that's the whole thing. Actually, what I realized was in this watching was that the ball of fire shows back up, and the alien race that protects the 5th element and the element stones is coming back to Earth, and on their way back, their ship gets shot down by these raiders.
Raiders, who works for Gary Oldman, is the main bad guy.
Yeah. And
a weirdest character.
He's phenomenal.
He hates this movie, by the way.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Luc Besson had him over a barrel the studio, because to do this movie, they had to produce another movie that he really wanted to do. I think that he was producing. So he hates his performance, not the movie. He hates his performance.
I mean, I don't know why, man. I thought it was awesome. I mean,
it was awesomely right for the tone of the movie.
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
was over the top.
He was so perfect. Like, he was the perfect bad guy for this movie, I felt. But anyway, so what I was trying to say was, I always thought that she was one of the guys in those suits, in the big, weird Jim Henson looking suits, right? Well, at the beginning of the movie, they take the stones and they take the Fifth Element sarcophagus with them to leave the planet because war is coming to Earth, and they don't want the stones or the Fifth Element to get destroyed during basically like World War II, because it's like 1940s or something when that first scene happens. But so what I realized in looking a little bit closer, that hand, the glove that they use that has the hand in that they recover, then they use the bone that's sticking out of this blown up hand, right, to rebuild whoever that was using their DNA. That is not one of the robot guys. That is actually the hands of the sarcophagus thing that they like float out at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, okay.
And I never realized that. Literally to this showing, I always thought it was weird. Like, why was it the one random one that they found?
I still thought that.
Yeah.
You just said
no,
it.
No. And I don't know. I think it's because I've always thought that was weird, that upon this showing, I was looking at it with a little bit more critical eye because we're going to talk about it, right? And so I realized that it's actually not the same glove. It's the glove from the sarcophagus, and she's in the sarcophagus.
Well, I think that's a flaw, right?
It is kind of a flaw.
There's an edit, because when that ship is attacked, not once do we cut the sarcophagus that I can recall, right?
Right.
Because I feel like if you were going to make that clear, you would do some kind of intercut to remind us, or it breaks open, you see a hand, or I don't know.
They also could have just made the sarcophagus a completely different design and completely different color than the gloves on those alien suits, right?
Right.
It looked so close to it that you easily could mistake the two. And I always thought that was just a weird thing in the movie, and I just kind of, it's one of those things in movies, you're like, that's weird, but whatever, I'm not going to get caught up on it.
Yeah, you just roll with it.
You just roll with it. You just
literally
roll with it.
Every scene in this movie, there's something creatively weird and bizarre.
And so you just
From a performance from an actor to the set. Basically, Bruce Willis is an ex-military special forces guy, this badass who's been retired for 6 months. He's a horrible driver, apparently, because he has tons of points on his taxi. Cars fly. It's that type of future. Mia Jovovich, she escapes after being reformed into her physical body. She jumps from a side of a building, a rooftop, or jumps out the window, lands in his taxi, and he decides to help her out because the police are chasing her. And they're all after the elements, basically.
Gary Oldman wants the elements because he's working for the big ball of evil.
So Gary Oldman hires these pit bull-looking aliens
called Mangalores
to capture the elements. They blow.
They're also shapeshifters,
right? Then tries to kill them because they failed. Now they're pissed at Gary Oldman, so they want the elements so they can force him to buy it back. Meanwhile, Bruce Willis, Mia Jovovich, and Priest, who's the guardian of the elements, played by great Ian Holm from Alien. And it all culminates in all these forces assembling on this cruise ship. Chris Tucker shows up. Dude. Now, Chris Tucker, I found out something tonight that makes that character make complete sense now.
What?
Do you know who originally they wanted? They actually cast this person.
Prince.
You knew this?
I think I did, actually.
I didn't. If I did, I totally fucking forgot. I didn't know that. And now that I watched the movie, I didn't know that before I watched the movie, but in hindsight, that's a total Prince role, because
it is a Prince role, but I don't think he would have done it justice.
It wouldn't have been as funny.
It wouldn't have been nearly as good, and I don't think he would have committed the way that Chris Tucker did.
Right.
And Prince is not an actor. I'm sorry, he just isn't. You know what I mean?
And again, this movie for 97, 96, 97 was so forward.
That character was very ahead of its time. That was the only character ahead of its time by leaps and bounds.
Right.
I mean,
because having someone that flamboyantly, and I think he was just, he'll fuck anything, right? He was bi, whatever.
He was just fabulous. You know, he was just a fabulous, flamboyant man. You know what I mean? Like, he was living his truth and didn't give a goddamn who knew. You know what I mean?
You know who else was up for that role? Jamie Foxx. And the reason
really?
Besant didn't cast Jamie Foxx, it was close because he felt like Chris Tucker had the better build. He was
smaller
and
smaller. Yeah, totally.
But that character, I remember when I first saw this movie, and granted, it's a different time. I was in college, still a young 20-something, whatever. Well, I knew Chris Tucker from Friday.
Right.
And then to go to this was jarring. Like, I just remember thinking, wow. And now, in hindsight...
He was in Dead Presidents and Friday.
Was that before this?
Yeah, and then did Fifth Element.
Which is a great movie, too, by the way. But what a brave choice.
Dude,
for that time, a brave choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
For
a straight black man trying to like break through, it was brave and an utterly brilliant business move, in my opinion, because it showed the range.
Right.
He's
it did.
The range, right? Once you see him in Friday and then you see him in this, he can get any comedy film role that's out there at that point. And he had done Dead Presidents, so he has a little bit of, you know, the drama chops in there. Like, dude, it was a brilliant business choice.
And it took him completely out of that urban comic box.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he knew he was in that box or felt like he was in that box. Because then you do this role, then people are like, oh, wait, things they wouldn't think they offered to Chris Tucker. Now you think about Chris Tucker.
Absolutely.
But I do remember at the time, my perception of this movie was overall, it wasn't what I was anticipating. I didn't expect the funniness of it.
Right.
The campiness. And that may have been partly due to the marketing of it. I guess I wanted more of an edgy, something with teeth kind of action film. And this is not that at all, right? This is...
No.
But in a good way.
When I initially saw it, I was in high school. I remember being so hyped about having a super crazy looking, dope, over the top, like awesome production design, sci-fi movie.
That was brand new and fresh.
Yeah, that was brand new and fresh. I didn't know any of the characters, you know what I mean? And so I was so happy. I was so happy. And then when I finally saw it, like, it's funny because I didn't like it as much this time as when I saw it when I was a kid. It had gotten a little stale to me, a little slow at times.
That's weird.
Like,
I'm the reverse. Like, I think I liked it more now.
Well, because you were expecting that edgy sort of
yes,
but not me. Like, it was everything I wanted. Like, at that time in my life. Once Ruby Rhod steps on the screen, it takes off and it becomes just a whole different animal. And he is so goddamn funny. So funny. And then, like, so the whole battle ensues, right? On the ship, everything's blown up and he's screaming like a maniac here and there. And then finally it's all, you know, they kill the Mangalore, the head Mangalore, everything calms down, and it's 7:00. And he signs off because he's a radio host, DJ, right? He's a radio like DJ, and so between 5 and 7, he's doing his show and he's walking around and he's doing this. He's talking to people. It's just crazy. Like, it's like he's an influencer. You know what I mean? It's like
yes,
right.
Before it was this movie was so ahead of its time in so many ways.
Yeah, it's so ahead of its time, right? And so and then at 7:00. After all the battle is ensued and stuff, he's like, "This is Ruby Rhod, signing off." It's like, "Have a great night," and then like it turns off, and he's like, "Oh, that's the best show I ever did."
my favorite part with him was, and this is also sum up the rest of the plot. So basically, Gary Oldman shows up to try to get stones. He gets blown up through the dog aliens, whatever they're called, their bomb or whatever. So they go back to Egypt and they get everything in place. And throughout the course of the movie, Mia Jovovich, or it was on the ship while they were going, I forget when, but she realized how much death and destruction the human race is capable of.
They're on their way back with the stones, with the fifth element, Mila Jovovich, going to the temple to turn on the fifth element so she can destroy the evil. She's okay, so she's been trying to learn, she needed to learn English, right? And so earlier in the movie, she's reading the encyclopedia or the dictionary, right? And so she's just going word by word, learning letter by letter, word by word, learning all these different things. And she gets to W, right? And she learns about war, and then it just after she's just been in this giant battle, she almost gets killed by the Mangalores. She survives the Mangalores, and right as she, beats the Mangalores, Gary Oldman shows up with his giant freaking, ZF-1 crazy
amazing video game gun.
Yeah,
again, ahead of the time, dude.
Well, I'm sorry, but you couldn't put that gun in a game, man. That shit is way OP. You know what I mean? Like you get that.
That's a Borderlands gun, though.
Yeah, that is
bullets that are like you fire and it'll still fire. Even
you're right.
Hit the target.
It's like, and this is my favorite. And this is my favorite part. Replay. He's like, with replay, you fire one shot. Every other bullet you fire will go to the exact same position. Oh yeah, because when he's like this, and earlier in the movie, when he's like showing off all the different, this gun has everything. It has rockets and poison darts and all this stuff. He's like, and all the Zorg, oldies and but goodies. And he's like the flamethrower. He does the flamethrower. He's like, then he like turns to the camera. He's like, my favorite. It sounded like a Sling Blade.
It's like a southern accent, right?
Yeah,
I think he has some false teeth in too, a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely. Like this, Gary Oldman's character was one of the coolest bad guys. Like so well done, because he's like, he's like a super awkward, like Elon Musk, like mixed with the Jeff Bezos, like, mixed with Dr. Evil. You combine them all and you get this dude. You know what I mean? You add a little Sling Blade in there and you mix it all together.
But it is funny.
And that's who you get.
He hates his role, and to hate a role, you couldn't have picked a better visually, like, if you didn't love this role and you hated it, you gotta really fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's from his accent to the outfit, everything was like, okay, there's no subtlety to it. There's no like silver lining.
Absolutely. So anyways, they're on their way back, and like she learns about war, she becomes super devastated, and then show up at the temple to try and turn on the stones and take it from there, because you were going to say something about Chris Tucker's character, right?
So basically, Bruce Willis has to convince her to save humanity because their love is worth saving.
Right.
And he has to finally say, I love you. Mm-hmm. And once he does that and kisses her, internally, she realizes the world's worth saving. And it's this immense being shoots up and shoots this big ball of evil, turns into solid rock, and there's this dead silence. And the monk's little apprentice starts to like, wait,
goes,
go, yeah! And Chris Tucker's like, why? He's like,
what's wrong with you?
What you doing that for?
Every second there's a bomb or this or something. Like, I'm out of it.
now, let me say this. I try to get my daughter, who's 11, and to watch this movie. Mm-hmm. And the way I try to sell it to her, and I don't think it's a reach, it's like, this is like a live action anime. Mm. And then if you think about it, it does feel very anime.
Did you watch it?
No. But the second half of the movie, she was in the other room and she actually came out. She was on an iPad. And it was the half of the movie where Chris Tucker shows up. Mm. And I was kind of the side of my eye watching her. because I know she's gonna love this character because he's so flamboyant, and she likes pretty boys and flamboyant,
Sure.
people and men, and you can't get more flamboyant than that. And yes, just as I predicted, I kept looking up, and she was looking more at the movie than at her iPad, and was laughing, started to laugh. And then when the movie was over, she's like, he was my favorite character. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Noah watched it with me. Like he watched the whole thing. I was like, dude, we're doing this. The next episode we're doing is about this movie, and you got to watch it. It's a really cool sci-fi film. And he got a little bored here and there, and I can understand it. I mean, he's like, there's not that much action in this movie. I'm like, you're right. There really isn't that much action.
Watching it now, and I don't know if this occurred to me back then, because I think back then I was really just wanting more action, and I was disappointed.
Right.
I think this fails as a love story. And
totally.
It's supposed to be a love story. My memory, I thought Bruce Willis and Mia Jovovich shared more scenes together and were together more, but they really weren't.
No.
And it was amazing because the whole end was based on him loving her and she like loving him, but it was not earned.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
And I feel like this goes back to my earlier comment. This was a 400-page, I think originally he was thinking 2 or 3 movies. And he had to pare it down.
Sure.
And I think
I would have liked to seen it as 3 movies. That would have been pretty fucking cool, dude.
He should resurrect it, and keep the same spirit and make it a fucking. You could do an animated. Translate it as like an
do
animated.
A show.
Or that's what I mean. Like, don't just limit yourself to a movie.
Do like a 20 episode, animated show.
This film is so funny and colorful. The editing was incredible. Like there was like the whole Chris Tucker where he's seducing the stewardess, her legs raising, and then that was coupled with the raising of the gears and then the setting of the bomb, or it was something. like that.
It was the raising of the gears, and like you hear the. You hear the pilot saying, raising energy is like, it's like energy raising is like, protection set. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that one before. And
they
I was
did that
cracking
a few times in the movie.
Yeah, there were a few
editing,
of those. Absolutely.
And it makes sense that this is a project he had been envisioning since he was 16. It's close to his heart, and you could tell like there was a lot of love poured into this, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wish there was love poured into the love story. But it was too many elements packed into it. And I think Gary Oldman, he didn't have a single scene with Bruce Willis, and he's the main bad guy. There was a moment where they crossed, which if you look at it this way, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That they just missed each other because Bruce Willis and the gang went into the elevator, and Gary Oldman just came out the other room. But, it's kind of strange that the main bad guy, never confronted
the protagonist.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, though. It's kind of cool.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, back in the day when I saw it, I might have said, well, what the fuck? But now I'm like, that's the coolness of the movie. It's like so off-kilter. Like, even the tropes of a plot, but with the exception of the love story. And I say that was a miss because I felt like they had good chemistry, her and Bruce Willis.
Yeah, they did.
I wanted more scenes with them. Like,
totally.
Him trying to hide her, trying to teach the ways of, normal people. I mean, that's the obvious way.
Whenever they were together, there was a very cute chemistry, fun, sort of playful, like, interchange between them, even if he is old enough to be her father.
That scene in the apartment where it's brilliant, where he's hiding everyone from everyone else.
Yeah.
Like the generals or whatever show up to give him this assignment.
Yep.
And then she shows up. And he's like, no, she can't see you. They put them in the fridge.
Dude.
And the priest and her come in, and then the cops show up, and he puts her in the shower, and the priest in the bed, and and everybody's getting.
But what about the first time you meet him, and he's in his
Corbin Dallas.
Corbin Dallas. He's in his room, right? And he's about to leave to go to the garage, and he like looks and he checks his security camera. It's clear, right? He's like, okay, it's fine. and he opens the door, and it's some dude with a gun who has a hat on with
that looks
a
like
picture
the wall.
of his hallway outside. He's like, "Give me the cash." He's all crazy and shit.
And if you notice, he pulls the gun to confiscate the gun, and it's loaded with guns that he probably have confiscated, maybe from various people or
exactly. He's like, "This is a very dangerous weapon." He's like, "You mind if I hold on to this?" He's like, "No, you can keep it." You know, he is just totally whacked out of his mind, and he's standing there holding the gun on the guy who was trying to rob him. He starts chuckling to himself. He's like. That's a very, very nice hat. And he's like, "Oh, you like it?" And he like starts doing this weird dance. Like, it's just like the weirdest little, like all these little nice nuances put into this movie. Like, nothing goes in there that doesn't have like love. You can't feel the love put into it.
And you know what that is? And now that you said it, it is a living, breathing world. This world exists outside of the scenes that the main characters are in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can watch a movie and you know it's designed specifically for this moment. Beyond that, there's just white. But this feels like a living, breathing, there's quirky shit happening.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason for it other than the fact that this is just the way it is. Like,
why is there a bunch of garbage piled up at the airport? There's just like a giant mound of garbage. Right. Like, and I don't mean just like a pile of garbage. I mean like one entire wall of this giant airport is just a heaping 30-foot mount, like dune of garbage. Like, it's the weirdest damn thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird.
And maybe this goes back to the shark is not working. Maybe the fact that he did have to pare this immense story down, that maybe there was an explanation for the garbage,
maybe,
but it wasn't central to the plot. But then what you wind up with is a detail, right? That's like, it gives the world character and you don't explain it.
Exactly.
And I think that's what it is. It's like there's shit in here that is never explained,
but you don't need that explained.
But it
feels,
what I
mean?
But it's like if this movie was present day, you wouldn't explain every little single like nuance of our world.
Exactly.
Because, you know, we're like, okay, we take it for granted. Everyone knows what that is. And that's what this movie does. The future is just the future. If they had just fixed
the love story, this movie would have been unstoppable.
Yes.
Like, unstoppable freight train powerhouse. You know what I mean?
Love stories are timeless.
Yeah.
It's a love story. Would you recommend it?
Hell yeah. Look, if you're a sci-fi fan, if you're a Bruce Willis fan, you're a Mila Jovovich fan, you know what I mean? If you're a
Gary Oldman fan, a Tiny Lister fan.
Well, yeah, but if you're a fan of those people, like, it's absolutely, you have to see it, right?
Have you ever seen the movie Heavy Metal?
Yeah.
Well, the first episode is a taxi driver in the future.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I remember this, actually.
So watching it, that occurred to me, although that's a much darker, bleaker. But it had
a similar sort of look to it, right?
Similar look and a similar feel. It was that mixture of grind, hyper futuristic, but hyper functional, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that occurred to me, and I don't know if you ever seen the anime, was Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, I just recently rewatched the whole series. Not the Netflix one, but before the next Netflix version, I rewatched the original anime. And it has the same kind of quirky spirit.
Oh, yeah.
That Fifth Element. I'm not saying this inspired Cowboy Bebop, but I think Bebop came out in 99, I believe.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
something like that, right?
But
I guess what I'm saying is, if you like Cowboy Bebop, if you like anime, and it's a breath of fresh air to have something unapologetically colorful, fun, funny. I mean, there's action, but if you're coming for action, you'll be disappointed.
I take it back. Because of Chris Tucker, I will recommend this movie to every person on the planet. This might be his best performance ever. I can't think of anything I've liked. Like, I feel like the rush hours feel contrived. This is utter genius. This is Chris Tucker at his absolute peak performance. I think he makes this movie so much better. Like, the movie's good, and then Chris Tucker shows up, and it makes it phenomenal.
Tone-wise, as a Bruce Willis film, this fits right smack dab in the same tone for me as Hudson Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
Hudson Hawk.
I love Hudson. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I love Hudson Hawk.
I fucking love, and I just
Sick balls!
I love Hudson Hawk when I saw it, right? Like,
oh, yeah, me too.
So if you like Bruce Willis and Hudson Hawk, I feel like Fifth Element is a nice companion piece. Because
totally.
for me, it has that same fun, unashamed spirit. All right, what are we rating Fifth Element?
I'm thinking it's in the 3.5s to 4s. You know what I mean? Like, out of 5. You know, I would say that it's into the 4. Like, not higher than a 4, but I think like you said, the only thing that kind of pulls it down into maybe the 3.5s is that the love story doesn't really hit. I would agree. That's my opinion. What about you? What kind of weird, gross rating system are you going to use this film?
I was going to use stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. You ready? I'm going to say 4 Will Smith slaps to Chris Rock's face out of 5.
If only it had been Chris Tucker, man.
I use stars. No, you said use stars, man.
No, but I'm just saying, if only it had been Chris Tucker, this episode would have been so much more timely.
Oh,
you know
right.
I mean?
Dude,
if he had slapped Chris Tucker, man, that motherfucker would have socked his ass back.
If he slapped Chris Tucker, that shit would not have gone down the way it did. Oh, no, I guarantee you, They'd be down in the orchestra, right? Just feet, just legs tangled. Just speaking of creepy, in the moment where he brings her to see the priest and lays her on the couch and then decides to kiss her when she's unconscious, we both kind of look at each other like, that was kind of weird, right? It is definitely of the times, right? We've been through the Me Too tunnel, and now on the other side, you're like, damn.
Yeah, he did that shit, but
he barely knows her. She's unconscious, so I'll just steal a kiss.
And she wasn't having it. Like,
yeah,
like, you're right. I shouldn't have done that.
I shouldn't have done it.